founder and creative director of an advertising agency east of Normal based in New York City.
Together with his siblings, he started a business in the wildness of New York City, first to serve the needs of billboards and marketing campaigns.
And now he's getting the attention of big brands like NARS Cosmetics, Hublot, Harpers Bazaar, and many, many more.
Welcome to Fashion Host Podcast, Nico Ramirez.
Welcome, Nico.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, you're having us. This is your place.
Sure.
So thank you for having us
There you go.
on our podcast.
We're hosting each other.
Yes. So how was your day today?
Good. It felt like a Monday.
Yeah.
It was a little busy. Yeah. But it was good. We did a location scout this morning and then we just did regular office work.
So how does your working day look like?
Typical working day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So we built the business where it sounds super cliche, but like having fun is the priority. And I think the goal is to kind of feel like we're working less and accomplishing more. So we start our days at 10 a.m.
Nice.
Which is very comfortable for everybody here. So a typical office workday is mostly pre-production and anything that we're planning to shoot, post-production and anything that is due and coming up. And I think always some sort of kind of like strategy on business acquisition. So thinking of like new clients that we can attract or get. So it's kind of like split on a lot, but it's typically fun. We meet here at the office. We have a coffee shop in the front. We always start with coffee. It's a very relaxed environment. We play music the moment we come into the agency. There's music always playing, except right now because we're recording. And it's pretty chill and relaxed. I think we're mostly like task oriented and task accomplishment based, as opposed to like, you have to work till 6, you have to, So we've built a business that we kind of like are very proud of, and it's a lot of fun for us.
But how did it start?
How
did you
start?
get to this point where you start at 10 and you have a relaxing day? And
This is a
it
front,
takes-
it's a drug,
yes.
we sell drugs.
well, so you're coming from Colombia?
Yeah, no, that's bad. No, how did it start? I think,
I mean, we know your story.
yeah.
A little bit. So can you share your story? Because I think it's very inspiring and amazing. And
Okay.
We started backwards, but
Yeah.
can you take us back to...
Sure. I'm trying to think what would be considered the beginning.
So when was the first time you felt attracted by photography and something that will later on become your profession?
Yeah, so I think, I don't want to bore you, but I think the way it started is that as a kid, I was always interested in some sort of creative arts. Mm-hmm. So I played drums when I was a little kid. I played a little bit of guitar. I used to draw a lot. So obviously I had like that inclination of the creative arts, but I grew up in Colombia and I didn't grow up surrounded by anybody that was successful in the creative arts. And I think we get inspired by the things that we're exposed to. So I was never exposed to, say, a successful art director or a successful stylist or a successful photographer or a successful creative director. Those things, I didn't even know what they were. In Colombia, at least back in the day, like success was very attached to the traditional kind of like roles, like finance, lawyer, stuff like that. So I always wanted to do something creative. Some of my professors in high school always talked to my dad about like he should go to art school and stuff like that, but it was never really something that I thought could happen or couldn't. Like it wasn't even like registering. So I never went to art school or photography school or film school. I went to business school. So I guess I learned how to
Run a
build
business.
a business. Yeah. But I was always more interested into the marketing classes and stuff like that. And then right out of college, I started a magazine with my sister and some friends. And so we published this lifestyle magazine. I don't even want to call it a fashion magazine because it wasn't a fashion magazine. It had a fashion component, but it was a lifestyle magazine. Very, very, very inspired in like GQ and Esquire, because I was like in my 20s. I was like, oh, GQ is so cool. So it was like that in Miami. I lived in Miami. And we started this project and we did it all in-house. So we had an amazing art director that laid it out, and we had a great editor, and it was just a bunch of friends. And
But that was your first job in creative environment, right?
That was the first job, yeah, because I did an internship at Target, and then so that was like my first job in kind of like.
But it's kind of big to start as a
It
creative
was
director.
big, yeah. I mean, I called myself a creative director.
Well, but you wore all the hats.
I was the janitor, and I was the CEO, and I was the everything.
Yeah, but you were the one who had the vision.
Yeah. So, so my first name on the masthead, and then I hired everybody, and we kind of built the dream. We had a office that was the budget version of this office, because we were like in our 20s, but it was cool. We had a loft in Miami and late deadlines, and we would stay late till we finished, and we sent it to print. We printed monthly, 15,000 issues.
When was this?
This was, I'm so bad with dates. I would say like 2010.
Okay, so
something like that, 2011. It was what killed us was that it was like that real estate bubble that bursted, and there was no money in the system, so people were paying us 90 days, 120, and we were a small company, so that was very hard. But it was serendipitous because it opened other doors, like that door closed. But that was me applying business into the creative industries, and I wasn't shooting, I wasn't directing, I wasn't doing anything, but I was surrounding myself with people that I thought were very good, way better than me at many, many, many things. And I was learning from them. And so I was like an orchestra conductor. Like I was just putting together the violinist and the drummer. And I was very lucky to work with this amazing photographer. He shot all of our covers and all of our editorials. He was very, very good. And he was also very young, so he was very hungry. We were all very young and hungry, and we're doing like what we consider like very creative, unique stuff. And every piece of content in the magazine was like, what do we do now? It was like so fun. And then this was like a difficult economic climate in the US. So, we folded after 18 months. And then this photographer moved to New York, and he got an agent. And then his brother joined the company, and like they were building this kind of like photography studio here in New York. But they weren't very business savvy. So we talked about like me coming and running their studio. So I was like, yeah, I would love to live in New York. And I moved to manage their studio. And then I did that for maybe a year and a half. And we have like some differences of opinion, mainly like business. Kind of like we saw things differently. I always say that or this is what I tell myself, that I was way more ambitious to what the best version of that could have been. But they were doing really well. They were very, very talented, and they started shooting with big clients. And so that I made some connections through being exposed to that world in New York, but it started really from like the bottom of the food chain of what you can get in fashion, which was behind the scenes videos. So I wasn't a photographer. I wasn't,
So you started as a videographer.
Yes. And I didn't, to me, like photography was like scary. It was like, I wouldn't even like grab a camera. Like that was like crazy.
Photography was scarier than videography?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, because
in running the business.
It's the opposite way.
True. But I think things have changed a lot. And I think now everybody goes to Best Buy, they buy a camera, they go to Amazon, they buy a camera. I'm a photographer, I have a blog, I'm a photographer. And all power to them, and all power to technology kind of democratizing access to these things so that more and more people can create. But I'm a little older. So to me, a photographer, I grew up, following these big photographers, which, you've known a lot from like Stephen Klein to Mario Testino. So like that was a photographer, right? If I grab a camera and I took a good photo, that still didn't make me a photographer. And then I worked a lot with someone who was like my mentor, and I admire him so much. His name is Milan Vukmirovic. He's Serbian, but also grew up in France, and he had an amazing career. He was like design director at Gucci when Tom Ford was at Gucci. He was creative director of Jill Sander, Trussardi, like you name it. And we became good friends, and I learned a lot from him. And again, to me, that was a photographer. It was like, I'm not, I guess I shadowed giants. So it's very difficult for me to be like, okay, I got a camera, I'm a photographer. So I started doing behind the scenes, which I don't even know that qualifies as a videographer. That was just kind of like pointing a camera at stuff that was happening in front of me.
But that was your learning process.
Yes. And, I was very lucky to start that process with big clients like NARS and Lormis, like other clients. So it teaches you a lot of etiquette of like how to behave on set, and you can't really fuck things up because they won't call you again. So
But when did you realize that you are a photographer?
I was just about to ask.
okay so I have a part of my brain that it's really organized, which is my kind of business side. I was producing at the beginning for maybe the first 3 or 4 years. And what a producer, I think, essentially does is they orchestrate everything, right? From
But I want to ask you, was East of Normal established already or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I was still doing it for these guys. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would hire a director. I remember he used to fly my friend Cristobal. He lives in LA, and he used to direct a lot of music videos. I would fly him in to direct like how-to videos for NARS or stuff like that. And it would cost me more money, but they didn't know how to do it or didn't have the courage to do it. And I was literally, the only time I would grab a camera was to do behind the scenes, which is a fly on the wall, like no interaction, like long lens, you're in the back, you're capturing. It was well paid. I would deliver. I was learning. I wasn't even thinking like, okay, if I do this more, I'll become a photographer. Like my mind wasn't there. I was always good at like assembling teams, which is what a producer does. So let me get some good hair and makeup. Let me get a good wardrobe stylist. Let me get a good photographer. And then you assemble it and then you just let it go, right? That was what I was really, really doing. And then one time a project came through NARS. NARS has been really good to me. So we've had an amazing relationship for like 12 years. And the person that I work with at NARS, I came to them and I said, well, we can't fly Cristobal for this one because the budget doesn't allow it and also the timing doesn't allow it. And then without hesitation, she said, why don't you just direct our films? Like you're literally like...
So you needed a little push.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that she believed in me so much. And I've been surrounded by, I think, a very good network.
But she was already your client, so she knew you were capable.
That's why she said it with no hesitation. It was like just 1 + 1 = 2 for her. She was like, well, on set, her and I were deciding hair up or hair down, this top or this top, this. We were deciding everything. So she's like, why don't you just, you're kind of like doing it already. And then obviously that comes with a lot of insecurities. It's like, oh my God, shit, now I got to direct this.
The responsibility.
Yes. And so, did it once and now I'm a diva.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky, I guess, that I had people around me that believed in me, both clients and friends. And they were like, yeah, just do it. And I remember I emailed the owner of a equipment rental company in New York that's huge, and I was like, do you guys have a DP in your team? Like, I didn't even know what a DP was. Like, and he was like, no, we're like an equipment. I can recommend you to someone. And so like that, I started like building a network and just learning what everything was.
So Nico, you said that just taking a camera and take a photo, it doesn't make you a photographer. What would you say makes you a photographer?
Well, I think it didn't used to. Or at least when I was growing up, to me, it was like so much more. Like it was composition, it was capturing the right moment. It was even the people that I've been able to see photograph with, for whom I've learned, they're so specific about these tiny little things. Sometimes, even if there's a difference into how I would do it or if I like it. And I always say, it's like, as long as you like it and you believe in it and you're really sure about it, then I think that's the confidence that it takes to capture a good moment. That is a good moment for him. So I think times have changed, and I think it's important to not be left behind and accept that now it's different. Now everyone is a photographer and it's okay. And I accept it and I embrace it, but it wasn't like that 10, 15 years ago.
It was the same thing as we discussed about models,
Same exact thing.
Now 2-3 selfies on the Instagram, I'm a model. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
And at the beginning, I was like, "You're not a model," but times have changed, and so like now they're models too. And
Just a different
category.
division, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different category. I have my reservations with what it is to shoot with an influencer model than with a traditional model.
So tell us, what is the difference?
Who
is better?
I don't want to get in trouble. No, I mean a traditional model for sure for me. I mean, it's just because they know how to pose, and they're a little bit less afraid of like doing different stuff.
But in my experience, I know so many girls who are traditional models, and me myself the same. When I started, and the girls I'm referring to, a lot of us didn't know how to pose because we were taken from our little villages and brought straight to set. So we were like, and just standing there. And
True,
people liked it.
but then that's why like modeling brands, modeling agencies have the development board, because you're being developed, and so you go on a studio and you don't know how to pose, but then the photographer's giving you direction, you're listening, and then you suck a little less the next shoot, you still suck, and then you suck a little less the next shoot, and then you suck a little less. So when you shoot with a girl that's been doing it for 2 or 3 years as a photographer, you can see the experience. And then let alone when you shoot with someone that's like been shooting forever, then you know, I mean, they literally could like, some girls are like, they're like hair and makeup, they're like nothing, and then you're like, okay, ready to go, and it's like boom, transformation. And that's experience. I'm not saying that Instagram models don't have that, but they are typically shooting the same content, that it's not that. So if you're shooting in a rooftop, or I just shot something for in Miami for Harpers Bazaar, and we shot in an old motel, and we shot with like an amazing model. Her name is Vida Sidorkina. She's huge and I love her.
Hi, Vida.
And then you can read it within a second of like turning like I joked it's on the behind the scenes. Like I took the first photo and I said, okay, we can do the next look. Because honestly, like it's like she's a freaking pro, and and that shows. But it's because these models like you, and I mean, I don't know your career because we just met, but you've shot in like an alleyway on top of like a garbage disposal, and then you've shot in studio, and then you shot in a rooftop, and you shot freezing, and you went to Morocco and shot a catalog in the desert. And so all of that experience translates on camera. Now, I'm not saying anything ill about influencers or influencer models, but they are typically just shooting outfits on the street, right? So my experience is like we start to shoot, and then I get these poses of like just the outfit on the street. So I'm like, I kind of need go like a pretzel, and like, you know, like pull your eyebrows, like, you know, like stuff like that, which sometimes will look silly, but then sometimes looks amazing.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like they ask us to do something, and when you do it, it looks like silly. Like I have this thing that they make me do it, and now I'm doing it all the time, you know? So when you are standing and looking me on the side, I look like an idiot, right? But on the picture, it looks amazing. So I think the
Tell us more about this, so let people learn about
the trick.
Of course.
Summer videos with Vlada. How to do the posing, the central one. But what I wanted to say, what is the process in your head when you see that something silly will look good? Like, how do you get that idea? Because sometimes we started just like a simple shooting, and all of a sudden photographer is directing completely.
Yeah, I think I love the sentence "dare to fail." So it's like, just don't be afraid that it might not work. And so sometimes I'll ask for something silly, and I don't think I know it'll work until I'm seeing it on the lens, or sometimes not even on the lens. Sometimes I have my Digitech and I'm like, oh shit, that's amazing. So I think it's more about just playing. And that's why with a more experienced talent, they get more loose, and they're like not scared about just if that looks stupid. And sometimes I'll be shooting it within like 30 seconds. I will say out loud, it's not working. Let's try something else. And that's just so normal. Just say it's not working. Let's try something else. What if you sit over here? What if you try this? What if you lay on the floor? Yeah, just lay on the, and then, which you hear a lot of, it's amazing. I love it more. Just hold it right there. And that's like the typical thing, because like, it's a journey to get to the shot, right? So it's like, just be comfortable with knowing that it's a journey. And to me, when I started shooting photography, which is only maybe 6 years ago, because I've been directing, I started directing, like I told you the story, like NARS pushed me to direct. And then by watching some of the people that I admire a lot, I started grabbing a camera and getting more comfortable. And I shot published work for clients for maybe 2 years before I was able to tell people I was a photographer.
So it took you 2 years.
Probably of shooting and getting stuff like published on my clients' websites and stuff. But I just was like, no, that's such a heavy term. It comes with such big responsibility. It really doesn't. But in my head, it did, because I grew up watching these people that were like, that's a photographer. Me, I'm just a guy with a camera, kind of like.
Is that old school?
I think so. But I think it's also good to, like, you know, perfect your craft and be a little humble about that. And
so who are those people? You mentioned earlier some of them.
Yeah, I mean, Milan.
Are you still looking up to them?
Yeah, 100%. Milan Vukmirovic is one of them. You know, love him. It's amazing. Everything. He's got a good taste across the board. Like, his house looks amazing. His style is amazing. His photography is amazing. He's very emotional photographer. So I think, like, I borrow a lot from that, and I've learned and I've been exposed to a lot of that. So, like, he shot that. It's a gift from him. And there's a book that he shoots that 600 pages of men's fashion every year. You know, to see, like, shooting a hand and kind of like how emotional that can be, or like a neck or décolletage or stuff like that. Fabian Baron has always been, you know, a North Star. Been on set with him many times, and it's just like amazing just to watch how some of the simple things just.
So was it like you've been looking up to them before you met them, and then you finally got to work with them?
Yes, I knew who they were. Yeah, Milan called me to do his website. I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, yes. What? And I was in New York. And then it's like, should I fly to Miami? And I was like, should we meet at Soho House? And he's like, this was like 12 years ago. And he's like, no, just come to my house. I want to talk to you about this project. I was like, awesome. So yeah, at the beginning, you know, I was just doing behind the scenes. So this is big names that I was like.
So the NARS was the job that actually.
NARS was the first big client that I had that really believed in.
Would you call that the
turning point?
Yeah, turning point.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And one person in NARS in particular. I was working with different people, but.
Creative director? No?
Yeah, she's like the director of film and photography at NARS, and she just liked, I think, and this would be some advice I would have for anybody that cares that's listening to this. It's just like, we were so professional with them, and like on time, and emails and everything, and like sometimes, yeah, talent gets you so far, but just being there for your client and being professional and answering the emails and not being late and going above and beyond to deliver something beyond what you were hired to do. That's what took us here. And that's what took when she said, oh, my friend works at Laura Mercier, I'm going to recommend you, because it's like, it's just trust. You know, you can trust this guy. He's going to deliver.
Yeah, but that's how in fashion very often we get new jobs and new client by recommendation.
Of course.
Yeah,
I
and
have
that's
so
the
many
best.
stories.
Yeah.
Yes, we have never advertised. Every client that we've ever had for 10 years is word of
But tell
mouth.
us, how did you get to east of normal?
Okay,
Why
so
east of normal? Why not west?
why east of normal? Because I think, I think things that when you speak about like the middle of the road, like things are boring and normal, and so we wanted to do things east of normal. And at the beginning, we used to say we're in the business of making dreams come true, and we make dreams from the future, which is the east, because it gets earlier. It's earlier in the east. Like New Year's in China is before we get here, so it was like a little play on that. The truth is that when I was younger, I saw an advertising campaign from an Argentinian airline that said something like, we fly you north of wonderful, or something like that. And I loved it. And then I was just like, let me just play with those words. And then we gave it a little meaning. So, yeah.
I thought that it has something to do with East Coast.
Oh, well, we're in the, yeah, that's why it made sense. That's why we did, probably if we were LA based, we would have called it west of normal. But we were here. So,
Are you planning to go west?
We're planning to, I don't like LA. We shoot in LA every now and then, but my sister always stays like my sister's my producer.
Yeah,
and
Lily.
She always will stay 1 or 2 days, and I'm out on the red eye.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted Lily to be on, but she's shy. But we want to say thank you, Lily, for everything, because Your brother forgets.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
my schedule is, she runs my life.
She's our saver.
Yes, she runs my life. But it started, so East and Normal started, okay, so I parted ways with these photographers. You know, we had a disagreement in terms of what we wanted of the company. It was basically like, I wanted more, they wanted to give less, and we were just like, okay, so this is not going to work out. So I went on my own, and East and Normal was my iMac in my living room in a tiny little shitty walk up in the Upper West Side. It was that East and Normal wasn't it was me and an iMac. But I have always behaved as a company, and then bigger. I had nice, thick American Psycho business cards.
But you already had a company. It's not like a first one.
Well,
Magazine
yeah, I
was
had the
good,
magazine. Yeah, 100%. And the branding and everything about that was, before we even published it, before we designed the first issue, we had an amazing website, an amazing business card. So I've always behaved as like, look, we're legit, take me seriously. It's not about like lying and like we're bigger than what we are. No, it's like, we own the fact that we were small, but we're like, we're serious. We have an address, we have a business card, we have a website, we're real. And like Isoromo was always like that. It was just me on an iMac, but it was like, we're real, we work, we have work hours, this is our business card, this is our website. And then it started to grow, and we started to word of mouth, like our clients started recommending us, and Lily was living in Miami, and I was like, you gotta move to New York, you gotta run this shit. So
That's a sister love.
yes. So then she moved, and then we had a tiny little office on 20th Street, the size of my personal office here, and 2 IKEA desks and 1 client. Not enough work for every day.
But that was just a couple of years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
And you grew pretty fast.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in a city where it's very hard
Yeah.
to, and
Well,
it's very
come on,
competitive, we're proud of what we've done, yeah.
So you would say you shouldn't, I mean, not you particularly, but a person shouldn't be afraid when they don't have everything lined up, and just go and do it,
Yes,
right?
I mean, yeah, nobody has everything lined up.
But you know, some
Yeah.
people are perfectionists, and
Yeah. Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world. Nobody's ever been that rich. He doesn't know how to be Elon Musk. He's just figuring out every day.
every day, step by step.
Yeah, so we didn't have a lot figured out, but
Well, we're figuring out how to
That's
be
what I'm
podcasters.
saying.
yeah, and you guys are doing great. It's just, you know, every podcast, I'm sure you learn something, and sometimes you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
even know the lesson. You only realize it way later.
When you've done it.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we had nothing figured out. Big dream, small everything, small budgets, a small network, small office.
But don't you think I prefer that way? Because I think I would be lost if everything just drops on me, and then, you know,
Yes.
small steps and lesson by lesson, you kind of, when you get there, you
can
have
appreciate
it.
it.
Yeah. I'm not even sure that I want to go too big. I have a friend who I admire a lot, who did a startup, a liquor startup, and he exited and he sold it to a big company, and very successful. And he came to this office and he was like, yo, this is the dream. And I was like, it is for us. It's like, no, like, what else do you want? And honestly, like,
What do you want?
I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, I do know, but
Can you share with us?
yes. But he said something like, be careful with wanting more, because you could double the size of employees, you can triple the size of employees, you could probably triple the size of your income, and you probably won't, your life won't get that much better. So
Maybe
we're
even
very,
harder.
very cautious with jeopardizing our fun, because we
And freedom, in a
and
way.
freedom, because we treasure it, and we travel, and we have so much fun doing what we do. Like, every single shoot we do, we end with champagne. Every single shoot has music. We have built amazing friendships with our crew. We have pizza. Like,
So how many people do you have now working for you?
So right now we have a team of, I think it's 8 full-time, and then we have an army of freelancers
Yeah, of
that
course,
we have worked with us for the past 10 years. So everything from our DPs, our gaffers, our key grips, our colorists, all of that is a family that,
And all of that within 10 years.
yes.
So what is your dream?
Well, it's 2 different, my dream, this is my dream. I'm literally, it sounds so cheesy and cliche, we're living our dream. Like, we have a townhouse in Flatiron.
Why do you think it's cliche? There's so many people chasing.
Yeah, I guess because, well, yeah, maybe it's not cliche. Maybe it's just, some people won't realize they've arrived to their dream.
They're faking it.
I don't know, or maybe they get it and I think, which is combines with the answer that I was going to give, I think it's like we live in a society where you always keep pushing the goalpost. And so it's like you arrive somewhere that you would never imagine you would be. And then it's like you want more and you want more and you want more. So when we tour somebody new in this office, I genuinely say, this is our dream. And I like to go to restaurants a lot. And I can almost tell when you go to a restaurant. I think we can all tell when you go to a restaurant and you go like, this is somebody's dream. Like, look at the menu. Look at you go to the bathroom, there's this little thing. You go to the kitchen. This is not just a business venture. This is somebody's dream. And I get that feeling when all over the world, I travel a lot, and like, I'll go to a little restaurant in like, you know, the most remote little fucking thing in like Sri Lanka. I'm like, this was somebody's dream. And I want this to feel like that because this is our dream. Like we have to go through a coffee shop to get to our agency. Like it's like a playground. I work with my family. I have an insane roster of clients. I keep meeting interesting people like you guys. It's, you know, it's financially rewarding. It is our dream. So that's a good segue to when people ask me what's next. I had never thought about it. And then about 8 months ago, I was talking to a big photographer. She was huge and she had shot everybody in the industry, way, way more successful and way, way more experienced than I am. She was in her 60s. And we were like having a great conversation. She asked me, what's next? Like, do you want to do a movie? Do you want to shoot a campaign for whatever? I genuinely, like, for the first time stopped and I was like, you know what? The view, it's like I've been driving this entire time. And right now the view is sick. So I'm just parking the car for a little bit and just enjoying the view, which I think a lot of people don't. They're always next, especially in America. It's like such a, like, greedy mentality here towards money and business. So to me right now, it's like, I'm not thinking about what's next because this is pretty sick. So I've just kind of like parked the car and I'm enjoying the view. Business-wise and life-wise.
So you can actually call yourself one of the lucky people who can actually enjoy the dream that they achieved.
He's enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
But even like, you know, like he had a goal and he arrived there. As
Yeah, that's how it feels. Yeah.
That's probably, that should be the goal, to achieve your goal and embrace it. And
yeah, I feel like you could always want more money and want a bigger apartment and want more clients.
But is that a dream to have more money?
No,
I don't think that's a
this
dream.
feels pretty freaking nice. And right now I'm just enjoying it. We work really hard to get here.
Of course, yeah.
So there's no point on just being like, okay, what's next? What's the biggest? How can we make this bigger? Like, are we gonna sell the agency to a bigger? I'm like, wait, let's think about what's next in a little bit. This took us a minute to get here.
Is there any challenge that you would like to go through?
Yeah, I want to direct narrative stuff, you know, with dialogue. So a lot of the stuff we shoot, it's like beauty and fashion, and it's high gloss and polished and beautiful. But I want to get into a little bit more cinematic, dirtier narrative, dialogue, actors.
Are you preparing something like that? Is it on the road?
Yeah, I'm not a writer, but I have friends that are good writers.
Amazing.
And so I have a couple short films that they've written that I want to.
if you need an actress.
Yeah, Vlada is an
There we go. Yeah.
And we are going to talk about that project here exclusively.
Yeah, so I think that's like more of a personal kind of thing that I want to experiment with most.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, your career as a photographer is short. So there
Who
must
said
be
so?
so many. But he
Yeah, it's
just
recent,
says,
yeah.
it's recent.
You mean
it's
short?
short
Yeah,
in,
I see.
in terms of the time. So there is a plenty of things that you could, try. And because it sounds to me like career happened to you.
Yeah.
So you're still exploring, you're still growing, you're still learning. He is at the stage of life where he is very comfortable, but still, curious and I mean, you have desire to
I want to do bigger
accomplish
things. I'm not
more
saying
in
like,
terms-
I've arrived,
yeah.
I'm not doing anything else.
creatively.
I'm just saying
accomplish more.
for right now, it's okay to breathe a little and just be
As
like,
you should.
yeah. And it's like, it's just fun to come to work and the people that I work with and the clients that I work with. So I want more, and we're working on more stuff. And I'm very influenced and motivated and inspired by some of the talented people that I work with. So like my DP is incredible. So, visually some of the stuff that he captures, I'm just like, I just want to do more things with him. he builds anamorphic lenses, and then it's just like another level of like artistry. So we're always constantly thinking about shooting, creative work that might yield to big financial rewards, or might just be like fun and creative for us to do. Yeah.
Something you would do even if there was no financial reward.
Yeah.
But what about rejections? How do you deal with rejections, or how do you reject?
No one rejects me. I'm kidding.
That's our diva talking.
How do you deal with it? I think it's like, okay, so I think it's a generational thing. Personally, I might be wrong about this, but I think we grew up culturally, we had to develop coping mechanisms to know how to deal with rejection. So if I liked a girl in middle school, in the cafeteria, or at prom, or when I was in college at a bar, I would have to think, what am I going to say? I would have to sweat. I have to be like, I would not talk to her. And then the next time, it's like, what do I have to do to get over this fear so I can talk to her? And then I would talk to her, and then she would reject me. And then you'd be like, and this came with childhood that probably you and I lived with, right? And every time we did it, we developed coping mechanisms on how to get better at it. Where did I mess up? Was it me? Was it her? Like you have to develop these things. We live in a world where like you swipe left, you swipe right, you get rejected, doesn't matter, tomorrow you'll match with someone. So I think some of the younger generations are not developing those coping mechanisms that you and I have developed without even realizing we were developing it. So how do I deal with rejection? I think it's just like, I know that it's part of life. So it doesn't get to my head. And I think I deal with it well, just because it's always been present in my life, from when I was talking to a girl, or trying to buy something that I couldn't afford, or asking my dad to buy me something and just saying no. And, we didn't grow up in an era of instant gratification. If I wanted to see a movie that was released, I had to go to Blockbuster. They only had 5 copies. They will always get rented super quick. Then I have to wait for 2 weeks and go check every day. And then we got the movie, and then we finally got it. And only had it for 3 days, because if you're not, then you get late fees. Like, all of this developed patience and how to deal with rejection and all that. But now just go on Netflix and you can binge watch the entire season the day it comes out. It's there. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just pointing it out as to what it is. It's what it is. It's how it is now. So I feel like I've always dealt with not having it my way. So it's just normal whenever I think it's a statistics game. I put 3 or 4 pitches together, I probably get 1. And I kind of know that. It always sucks when you don't get it, but it's just part of life.
Are you always involved in the process of choosing a girl who you have to shoot for the job?
I think for the most part, we've been very, very, very lucky that our clients see us as a collaborative, creative force that we can develop a project together, whether it's a campaign shoot or a how-to video or whatever it is. So we do offer casting services as part of the agency. So typically the process, it goes like we send an email blast, we get all the models available from the agencies, and then with the client, we narrow it down. I think it's always the client's final say, and I'm totally okay with that. But we've been lucky that it's like, Nico, what do you think? Her, or...
Have you ever worked with a model that it's not your preference, but the client insisted?
Yeah, many times.
How hard is that?
Very hard. I mean, it depends. Sometimes it's surprising. Like you can meet a girl when you come on set, and I say girl because we shoot mostly women, but we also shoot men. And you can meet them and they would be shy and introverted, or on their phone, and you think it's going to be very difficult. And then they have 5 years of experience and just turn it on. And it's like, oh, wow, all I needed was a lens and a song. So yeah, there's models that wouldn't be the one I would cast, and then they come on set and it turns out great. But we've had some that during COVID, just one comes to mind. We were shooting a foundation film. So we had a cast of 8 or 10 models because it was every shade. And there was, I'm not even going to mention her name because I don't even know her name, but it was this Indian girl, and she was so young. It wasn't even her fault. She was 16, 17. She had just probably broken into the industry, and she wouldn't move. She wouldn't smile. And we were doing the shoot remote with our clients, and my client was texting me like, maybe ask her like what her favorite song is, and we'll play that. Maybe we just like tell her like, okay, pretend like your boyfriend just came on set. There was nothing. Like,
Did she understand English?
Yeah, she did, and I think I took 100 photos, and I would say they all look the same. It was wild. But
would you share this experience with her agent? Would you tell them that there is something?
I don't know. I don't. Not unless I'm asked. I think like we're too busy to share all of our opinions. If we just move on. But if an agent ever comes, like I'm friends with some agents and some agency founders, and if we're ever, and she's like, oh, by the way, how'd it go with blah blah blah? I went like, oh, she lacks experience, very very shy, but out of the blue, like just going out of my way to be like, let me give you my feedback that you didn't ask for it.
And so, as you mentioned, you do try to make a model as comfortable as possible with the music and.
My style, I think not just on set, but just even here at the office, it's about creating an environment where people feel safe and comfortable and fun. That's kind of like the three things. So I always have music on set. I'm always jokingly when we start this, it's like, can we get you anything? Coffee, matcha, mimosa? Like it's about, it's like, and it's, it's like 8 a.m. No one's gonna take a drink at 8 a.m. But it's like, it's kind of like for me to set the tone of like, whatever you want. Like we're here to have fun and to just like chill, and we can take our time to get to the shot. We can, whatever it is. I've heard of a photographer that screams and throws cameras on set. I'm like, how does that conduct to getting the shot? Like, how is that even?
I have some experience with like very difficult.
Yeah, I've never been on a set like that, but I've heard stories like that.
I left some shootings in my life. 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah. I've seen this a lot in like, I watch a lot of interviews with directors that I admire, and if you're with an actress or an actor that is not giving you what you want, what makes you think that yelling at them and grilling at them will get you a better performance? If anything, I mean, and when I'm doing video, if something's not working, for me, it's more like, let's just cut and let's just
restart,
go outside and like talk a little bit. You need 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and like, what do we need to get through, and like, let's de-escalate and like calm down, and like, as opposed to like, yo, we're running late and blah blah blah, and like, you're not doing it. Like, I'm like the opposite.
I remember once there was a shooting I had for 10 days straight in the desert. And at some point, we all have our days or moments. I was really grumpy and I didn't realize that. I was just...
Yeah.
And then the photographer, I'm really thankful to him because I probably did it a lot during my times, but he was the one who pointed it out. He was like, Vlada, we're here to create, and please get together and let's do it together.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need this attitude. I was like, is there attitude? I didn't realize it even.
Yeah, it's my style. It's just the way I do it. It's just like, I love to, outside of work, I like to host. I do dinners. So it naturally comes to like, I want you to have a good time. I want us to have a good time. So we play music. I sometimes ask, sometimes I'll be like, what do you want to listen to? And it'll be like something I don't really want to listen to, but I'm like, fuck it, let's just have fun.
Serbian folk.
Yeah, I would play whatever.
I put my Russian music sometimes if the photographer asks me, like, you asked for it.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the worst client or the worst day in your life so far? Yeah, not the name. I mean the experience. The experience.
I would say somewhat recently I shot for a cosmetics brand that I hadn't shot for before. And it was a 3-day shoot, I think, or 4-day shoot, big set. We had to get a bigger studio. And the creatives from the client side were so hostile. Like, shit that you shouldn't say in 2024. Like, blah, blah, blah is fat. You got to make her look skinny. And I'm like, this is 9 a.m. This is how we're starting the day. And then from that on, it was just so hostile. which is some people's leadership style is to be intimidating and, aggressive. And it's that is such the opposite of, I mean, you see how it is here,
How do you fight that? To
I
stay
mean,
creative,
deal with
not
it.
to get, deal. But I mean, it's fight in your head to, to stay
in the mood.
In your way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a thing called the Eastern Normal 9 Commandments, and we have them on our website, and they're the 9 commandments every employee should know. And number 7.
We will link down below. Yeah.
And then commandment number 7 is always positive attitude on set. Be like the duck. Stay calm in the surface while you paddle like a motherfucker underwater. So that's our motto. You see a duck on a lake,
Yeah, you don't see
and the
what they're
surface is
doing.
like going
That's
like
such a
this,
great
and then under he's, So sometimes even with my team or with my sister, if she was here, she'd be like, we would get not calm like the duck, and they would be like, there's nothing positive about freaking out, being an asshole, or screaming or whatever. So if you need to take 5, if you need to whatever it is, that's we always try to.
So if that client wants to hire you again, would you say?
Difficult. I mean, the money was good, but
I'm asking you
peace of
because I
mind.
had, doubts during my career. I don't like working with them. It's so hard.
It's like you're selling your soul,
yes,
right?
and then when you see the check and you're like, oof, left or right.
This one was a big one.
East or west.
Yeah, this one was a big one. I think I think it depends. I can never say no. I can never say yes. I think it depends on if that reality comes, what's going on that day.
You would consider.
I would consider, but right now I would say no. I don't want to.
Because I have a list of people that I said no, and no matter how the check looks like, I will.
I think I've been lucky where I haven't had that bad of experience where like somebody was abusive or something like that. It was like never in my life. It was just like not fun and hostile. And I've always said, I even spoke with the person who connected me with them, and I was like, this is the kind of people that I don't want to work with. But to your point, like you've had, sometimes we see the check and we're like, should I? And right now I would say no, I don't want to work with them. But what if they come in June and then we've had a bad June and you go like, all right, and you'll probably regret
and
it.
maybe they change their mood and their
or maybe
You're
not. Maybe you're
hoping.
on set and you're like, oh my God, this is exactly why I shouldn't have said no. So yeah, I like to say no. If they walked into my office tomorrow, I would say no. We're busy. We're having fun. I just came back from Europe. No, I don't want you to mess up my life. But yeah, I mean, you never know,
Nico, how do you deal with, for example, when your vision of your creative process is different from the client's need and what the audience is requiring?
I love that question because I think, this is not to like pat myself in the back, I think I'm really good at that. I think it's one of the things that I'm best at, is that I don't let my ego get in the way of the deliverable of the client. I've had friends who've lost clients because their vision doesn't align and they just push it so far. I think it's very important for a creative person to do creative work outside of commercial work, because if you satisfy your ego with those projects, then you don't get too attached with those commercial projects. At the end of the day, they're paying the check. At the end of the day, once you deliver the assets, your project's gonna maybe post it on your website and move on. They're gonna use this asset for 6 months to a year. At the end of the day, they are hiring you to execute their vision. And we send the first cut of something or the first selects of a photo shoot, and it's like, this is my take on the video, and then everything starts getting watered down and everything starts getting, and it's like, do we have a shot where this, and it's like, fuck, that's a shot that I didn't like. But I'm so easy to, and with my team, in fact, most of the times when somebody new joins, like an editor or something, I'm like, don't get this is their project. I'm like, please, we don't have the time for me to tell you like look, we did the first 2 cuts the way we wanted it. Maybe the third one would have been something close to what we wanted it. We're on the fifth cut. This is their project anyway. Like, don't give a crap. And then we do like a director's cut, or we do like our edits, or we make our selects. The project that I just mentioned, I haven't published it, the one that I hated. But there's some images in that project that I love. It's just none of the ones the client selected. I want to edit them. I want to use them. I'm going to if I stop procrastinating, but it's not what it wasn't. We didn't align creatively. So I think it's just like, you know, you get hired, try your best to deliver the cut or the images the way you would have them, but don't let your ego get in the way of the deliverable. Like, just keep them happy and get hired again. I'm really good at just like, and I think it's because I do creative work with my peers outside of that. So I satisfy my ego at home and with creative jobs so that my clients don't have to deal with my ego.
I remember there was some photo shoots I had for advertising where clients, they brought the images they want exactly. So we had to recreate it. And I remember photographer, and he was a big name photographer. He was like, so basically they told him what to do, where to stand, and they can see that. But he did it, of course.
Yeah, I think that's creatively, that kind of kills you a little bit. But I'm like, if that happens, maybe you're like, fuck it.
It's even easier, no?
Literally, my attitude is like, fuck it. I think that's a tricky question, because I think in that moment, consciously or subconsciously, a lot of things play in the mind of the photographer or the director of why you're pushing so much. And I think ego is one of them. I think the lack of creative execution outside of that work is one of them. I think insecurities is one of them. Like, I when I'm in a project, I'm also like a businessman, so I'm like, this is just a job. And obviously I want to give you my best, and I feel like I always do, but I'm like, okay, if that's how you want it, that's how it's gonna be. Who cares? It's yours, you know?
Do you like to shoot outside or in the studios?
So we built our studio here, which was our dream to have a studio. And the office we used to have before was like 1,600 square feet. So the size of this floor only. And we had the typical, which every photographer has this when they have a small studio, the paper, the 9-foot paper that comes down. But I would shoot I would shoot and like everybody's bothered by the flashes, and it used to be, and I remember we would barely do commercial jobs there, but if we had to shoot like something for product, we would do it there. And it's like, there's people working on the flashes. So it was a dream to have our own studio, and we finally built it. So for like 2 years, I just shot studio, because it was like, I have my own site, and it was like, yay. And so because I did it for 2 years, 3 years, now I enjoy more location. I think I like them both, but I think just because I did so much in studio stuff, I'm like, what we just shot in a motel, in the cheapest, most disgusting motel in Miami, but it needed to be that. If it looked new, it didn't work with the vision. It's awesome. I'm gonna show you later, because I think you would like this. Yeah, it was.
I think you
cool.
posted something on.
Yeah, I posted like behind the scenes. But yeah, I'm so happy with that shoot.
Yeah, that was fun.
That feeling is amazing. For a week, I haven't even sat down to make selects yet. I keep opening the project and just looking.
It was like 4 or 5 days ago, right?
Yeah. And I keep looking at them, and that's a great feeling. That the fact that I'm like so in love with what I just shot, that doesn't always happen. So it's important to do these type of jobs so that you feel like this a couple times a year.
But that was editorial.
Editorial for Bazaar, yeah.
So more creative.
So there are a lot of still traveling for magazines, and
I chose to. This was. We paid for a lot of it, and happily, a great team, great model. You know, I'm happy to. It's just so rewarding. So I wanted to do them. I could have done this in studio and still get it published, but I wanted, for a year and a half. I'm a big mood board guy. There's a lot of people that I admire that zero mood boards show up on set and they have this vision, and it's like Milan is like that. It's like he's so creative. I'm a big mood board guy. Maybe because I work so much with commercial photographers, and they need to see when you're selling something, they kind of need to see what it could look like. Imagine. Yeah. So I have a folder with like maybe 30 images of motel stuff, and I just needed to do this. It was disgusting.
So where do you get your inspirations for?
Okay, so I mean, direct inspirations, fashion magazines, fashion books, like photographers' books that I love. Obviously, if I have to build something commercial, you go to Pinterest, you find one image, it starts feeding you more like that. And so just that imagery. I think real inspiration for me comes from travel and being exposed to different cultures. So like, I just drove a tuk-tuk in Sri Lanka for 12 days. The tuk-tuk broke.
You drove?
Yes.
Yeah. He's a bike ride.
Yeah, with my sister and my brother-in-law drove another one. We had a meeting, the first meeting in January last year. I told everybody, let's meet in the conference room. And they thought it was going to be a meeting about work. And I said, this year, it's about how much fun we're having, not how much money we're making. So we're going to book a trip to Sri Lanka. And so we booked the trip.
That's our year this year, right?
Yep.
And so we drove for 12 days, 13 days at wild elephants on the road. Our tuk-tuks broke every day. We slept in some hotels that were 10 euros a night because there was nothing else. And some hotels that when we finally, every 3 days, we found a good city, we're like, yeah, let's do a nice hotel. So that is where my true inspiration, I think, comes from, like just being exposed to these cultures.
Maybe this nasty motel was inspired by 10 euro nights in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, maybe, yes. Yeah. Right after that one, I did 6 countries in 6 days and a motorcycle in Europe.
Which countries were they?
So we did Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Italy, France, Monaco. Jumped in the Mediterranean in the water.
Amazing.
So I did this with 2 friends, Eric, who was here, the one you told him to. And I mean, look, I've been to some of these countries before, but riding this, it was 8 hours on a motorcycle every day through the Alps. I mean, it just inspires so much. It's just wild. It's wild. Like the views, the other people. It was a group of 60 people from all over the world. So it's not only, we stayed in castles. It was like not like medieval castles. It's like nuts. So like stuff, then I don't know, maybe in 8 months, I'm going to do something in a castle because I was influenced by that without even knowing that I was.
Diva in the castle.
Yeah.
So Nico, is there any project that is the most dearest to your heart?
Yes. I mean, I think these fashion projects are very personal and I fall in love with them. But in terms of projects that mean a lot, that are dearest to my heart, I've been very, very lucky to work with a brand called Frida. And they have 2 brands called Frida Baby and Frida Mom. And so Frida Mom does like postpartum products for moms after they give birth and like postpartum solutions. And then Frida Baby does the same thing for babies. So it's not like traditional like diapers and stuff like that. Like they do all kinds of stuff that are meant to solve an existing issue. So like, I'm going to dive super deep into this. You guys can cut it, but like
No. That was one of the questions.
So like one of the hero products is like a booger snotter because like babies, when they get their nose is this big, so you need to clear the boogers. So they came up with a device that like mom sucks the boogers out of the baby, and like that's like amazing. So so I've been shooting a lot of their campaigns, and it's insanely gratifying. And I mean, you go on Amazon and you look at any other products, and they have 3,000 reviews and like comments of like moms saying this shit saved my life. So it's very fun to shoot for them.
It has nothing to do with the fashion, but it's still there is a passion.
Yeah, it's so wild because it has nothing to do with the glossy, fancy stuff that we shoot, but it's
you
so...
posted sometimes behind the scenes of how hard it is.
I mean, the art director calls me the baby whisperer because I'm like, on set, I'm like stealing the babies. Like, I'll show you like the photo. I have a baby, like, I'm like carrying them and like playing with them. So I love to shoot for a brand that is so genuine and that kind of like really believes in what they do, and you can see it in almost every interaction with the brand.
How is the casting for babies?
Oh, it's amazing. So we're very resourceful.
Okay.
So as a company, and so Camila from our team. So Camila used to be here, and then she said, "Oh, New York winter is so cold. I'm gonna go to Cambodia for a month." It's been a year. And she's in Bali right now, so she works remote for us. We love her. She's a key member of our team. She's adorable. She runs our castings. And yes, so we had a challenge. We casted with them I think the first shoot through friends, the second shoot through casting agencies. There's casting agencies that cast for kids and for moms and for pregnant moms. And then we didn't love what we were casting. And most importantly, we were...
Sorry, what is there to love when you cast a baby for a baby shoot?
Okay, so what we
It's
didn't...
different. I mean, yeah.
What we didn't love in this particular case, it was that all of the babies that we were getting were 6 months old, a year old. They needed 2 weeks old. Like, they needed this baby to be red.
Out of the...
Yes, out of the womb. Because a lot of the products were for literally the first 2 weeks of what women go through in after giving birth, which is a miracle by itself. And yes, you need a pregnant mom that just gave birth, or a pregnant mom that's about to give birth, and you need a baby that was just born. And so casting agencies would be like, look at this beautiful baby, and it would be like the perfect Gerber baby that it's like a year and a half old. And we're like, no, you don't get it. We need his head to be soft, you know? We need this baby to be like new, spanking new. So we started to do casting ourselves and casting regular people. And we came up with this ourselves, but we do this ads and we run them on Facebook and Instagram. And we say, we're casting for a beautiful campaign about, and we use this images and this. I'm not gonna give out this secret sauce, but no, I'm kidding. It's not something super special, but we run it ourselves, we monitor ourselves, and then Camila has conversations with 50 moms, 60 moms, 80 moms every time we're casting. But the regular people that are driving and they go like, oh, I'll do it, you know, and it's the moms that just gave birth.
How did you get from fashion to kids?
Similar. I don't want to say I've been very lucky. I don't like saying that a lot because
Why not?
the harder because it's so funny that the harder we work, the luckier we get. You know, so it's like, oh, you guys are so lucky with your podcast. No, you've been, you know, if this gets you, like, no, they've been working their asses off. It's not luck, it's hard work. So I'm very careful with using that word, but it was kind of the same. I met the founders. They asked me a simple question, I guess, because they liked something that I have done that maybe I posted on Instagram. I know he likes the stuff that I do. I mean, that's why they hire me. So he was like, can I pick your brain about something? I'm like, sure. And then he showed me this deck. He's like, what do you think of this deck? I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but like this or that. Like I made my comments, and he was like, oh, cool. I like how you're thinking. It was something like, it was very casual. We were on vacation. It was like very, very casual. And then he said, I'm gonna have somebody from my team contact you because we need these how-to videos for some of the products we're doing. And so the brand was about to launch. It didn't exist. So I have a great strategist. And so he wrote a great deck that had a lot of brand insight, like brand identity insight of how we thought the brand should speak and how it should look and how it should behave. And so we showed it to him to try to get the job for the how-tos. And then he went, fuck the how-tos. This is amazing. Do our brand book, do our launch campaign, do our
whole package.
Because merely based on showing them how we thought. So we just, on a deck, showed them how we thought. And they were like, okay, yeah, we can put the pin on the how-tos. Let's talk bigger. So we just got it through conversation. Like this. Like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So how many tattoos do you have?
Oof. I think at some
From babies
point,
to
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
me, but at some point,
It's also speaking to his social media.
Yes. I think at some point I stopped counting. I don't know that a number. I do like that
19?
I don't even know. I just, sometimes like I'll text my tattoo artist here in New York and it's like, do you have free time this week? And she always carves time. And it's like, yeah, come Thursday. And I don't even know what I'm going to get, but just the fact that she's available. I'm like, okay. And then I go and I get something. So I think I stopped counting, but I like that I've gotten them in different countries. I got this in Moscow. I went to Russia just to get this part. I was there for just 3 days.
You went there for tattoo?
Yeah.
On a bike or no?
No.
Do you
It was
have
snowing.
do you have permissions from your artists that we can use it here?
Yeah, especially these guys. Yeah, these are like homies. I've become really good friends with them. But this was a really good artist that I had followed for a while, and this is
Do you have
unrelated to the
Japanese?
podcast. But he had a big following. He had a big long wait. Like you gotta wait 6 months to get an appointment. And then I'm like, come on, man, fit me in. And he's like, man, I'm booked till like whatever.
But Diva is ready.
And then one day he said, somebody cancel on Friday. I know you live in New York, but do you want to come? It's like, fuck yeah. And then I just went. Yeah. So, and then I met him in Zurich and he finished this and I got this in San Francisco. So yeah, I don't know how many I have, but I keep adding.
So some people are collecting like some souvenirs and you're collecting tattoos. from
Yes, I have a
different
tattoo problem
countries.
and a motorcycle problem.
Is it a problem?
I think so. It's getting out of control. I need to stop buying both.
Yeah. Well, we spoke about your collectibles today too, so you're collecting stuff.
A little bit. I've met true collectors. Is this maybe it's like I have like this complex now that I just talk about it because I met real photographers. I was like, I can't call myself a real photographer. So I've met real collectors, and so having 5 watches is not a watch collection. It's 5 watches. You know, so.
But go ahead?
Can you call yourself a real biker?
Yes, 100%. I've been riding motorcycles since I was 8, and just been driving. Like I drove a motorcycle from the Sahara Desert to Marrakesh. So like, yeah, real biking.
So maybe we should do introduction differently now that we know that he is actually a real biker, but maybe photographer.
Yes, true. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I've never had any complex with calling myself because I've been riding since I was a little kid.
But with photography, you do have
Not
this
anymore.
or
Not anymore. But it took a minute because, and I think it's a good thing, just because,
I think it is a
because again, these people that I was admiring were, so big, and I witnessed this wave of like the first wave of influencers that literally just got a little camera and it's like, I'm a photographer. I'm like, are you?
What would you advise to new photographers, not new influencers with photography?
Yeah. I mean, I have respect for both. I just want to make that clear. Like, I'm not trying to like say if you're an influencer. I have respect for both. I think it's become it's like saying like, oh, online dating is not real dating. That's how people meet these days. Like, you're in denial if you think it's not. It's getting married. It's like, so, there's influencers that are making millions of dollars. It's like, it's not real. Well, that house is pretty real. I just bought it with that money. Yeah. So I have respect for both. I just have like different kinds of respect for them, for one rather than the other.
The advice,
be humble and learn from people. You can always see further if you stand in the shoulders of giants. So try to stand in the shoulders of giants. Don't let your ego get in the way. There's a lot of talented people out there. Consume a lot of books. It's a lot of photography books. I don't mean like how to shoot. I'm just meaning I have so many magazines. I had to every time I move, I get rid of like 80 magazines because they're so heavy. But like I used to watch to consume so many magazines and so many books and coffee table books. So I would say just consume and consume and consume. And at the beginning, maybe you don't have an identity, but you'll find it. And also just shoot as much as you can. I was very insecure. Like we were talking earlier, like I would be shooting a model and I would be so insecure of trying to get the shot within the first 5 minutes of shooting her, because I would be thinking like, am I taking too long? Like, she's there posing for me. And like, now I'm like, it's going to take some time. Sometimes it won't.
When did you come to this knowing?
By shooting more. And then just shooting more and more and more and more. And then I was shooting a lot of beauty. And then I was like, shit, this looks really cool. And so like I would shoot more at the beginning. I would shoot 60 images, 80 images, 100 images for one look. And I'd be like, I gotta find something good here. I would be going through selects and I'd be worried that I'd be like 5 minutes in and I'm not seeing anything I love. And then you start shooting more and more and more and more, and then like within the first images you're like, I love this, oh, love it, oh my god, I'm so good. And so like, yeah, I mean, I'm just being honest, you know, it's because I love my work. I don't care if some people don't. I mean, that's just gonna happen. But I'm saying now I see some of my stuff and like it's quicker when I arrive to it's just practice. I mean, you start playing piano today, you're gonna suck, and then do it every day for a year, and then you're gonna be like, oh my god, this song's amazing.
Would you show pictures while you're on set to model?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah. Because some photographers they
don't. Yeah. I'm very open with that. I think it helps too.
It helps, right?
What would be your advice for models? Because I mean, you have experience.
Yes, I think my 2 biggest advices. One is listen. I have 3. One is just like listen. There's a lot of feedback from a lot of experts on set, not just the photographer. There's makeup artists that have shot insane things. I work a lot with this woman, Lena Coro. She's like an OG. She's older and has shot everybody under the sun. And I don't know why we become really close friends. And she loves working with me and shooting with me and spending time with me. And I listen to her. She knows her shit. Like she's shot with giants. So it's like, just listen. You know, there's a lot of lessons that you can get from an art director, from a makeup artist, from a nail artist. My second one is just don't be afraid to look silly. Because it's like, if I deconstruct some shots from amazing photographers, you know, you would think like, if an amazing shot, if you like, you see like a Peter Lindenberg image with an elephant and the model has this dress and you would be like, if you really stop and think, you think that was a stupid moment, right? But the photo came amazing. So I think it's just like, don't be afraid to collaborate with the other artist, which is the photographer, and don't be afraid to look silly. Some poses just like look so stupid in person, and then, you know,
I experienced that.
Yeah, it's like, you know, put your hand like this and like put your hand like that, and it's like, that's so weird. And then you look at the image, and like the photographers might be shooting with a tight lens, and the crop is everything, and like the composition is everything. So it's not only just about you.
Yeah, but sometimes like photographer makes you feel good even if you're doing stupid thing in front of him. But sometimes even if you're just standing straight, you feel awkward.
Yeah. So I always, you know, I'm a talker, so I say like, let's do something silly. Like I don't try to go around the bush and say, you know, it's like, let's do something stupid, let's do something silly. So I forgot what my third advice was.
So basically it's to put your ego on the side, right?
Yes, big time.
So Anna has a question. What is next on your bucket list?
It's probably not work related. So does it have to be work related?
It doesn't have to be. Anna? No?
Non-work related, I'm planning a trip to Vietnam on a motorcycle. It's a big motorcycle destination, and so
from where to where?
I think north to south. So we're planning that. We typically do this like at the end of the summer. So with some friends that one friend has been riding his entire life. The other one, I just got him into it, and now he's a
newbie.
Yeah, but we don't like to go fast. We like to just cruise.
Yeah, you cruise. You post cruising. Yeah.
So that's big on my bucket list. Immediate. Family. I want kids and a marriage. That's high up in my bucket list. Very, very high. Probably higher than the Vietnam. Yeah. The Vietnam is just in the works, you know. So
and more doable.
That's easier, fast, yeah.
But I do love kids. I have a granddaughter that I'm very, very close to. I have a niece that I'm very close to. So that's up in my bucket list.
She's so cute.
Yeah. And then, work-wise, I'm working on a side project with a friend / creative director / mentor of mine. She was the creative director at Tiffany's, one of 4. And we're launching like a skincare tattoo product.
Amazing.
Very chic.
Very chic.
Yeah.
Skincare tattoo.
Yeah. It's there's no everything for tattoo aftercare. It's pretty cheesy and like it targets like the old demographic of the Harley Davidson driver. We want to do like, for lack of a better explanation, the Le Labo of tattoo aftercare or the Byredo of tattoo aftercare.
When?
Hopefully 6 to 8 months.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
pretty soon.
Yeah.
Amazing. We have one game.
You want to play?
Okay.
Are you ready?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not, because I haven't heard it. But
quite difficult game. There are some rules that we have to apply.
Lay them on me.
Do you want to say the
rules?
No,
you should. Go ahead.
Okay, you have to choose just one option.
Okay, it's multiple choice.
Right away.
Okay.
Right. No thinking.
First instinct, multiple choice.
There is a name to this game. There is a name to this game, but we cannot remember.
Great.
We were told like 10 times during one interview and we still don't remember. But
who came up with the game?
Anna came up with the game, but then one.
And you came up with a great name that you forgot?
No, she came up with the game. And then one of the person we interviewed told us, "Oh, that's a popular game." So and so with the name, and we're like, "Really? Tell us again and again and again," and we still. We have to call her.
Okay, let's play.
Okay.
So no name game. For now, no name.
No name game. Maybe we should call that
So, coffee or vodka?
coffee.
Ooh.
I own a coffee shop.
Superman or Batman?
Oof. Batman. I can't think about it. Batman. Jeez,
Fish or hamster?
Fish.
Book or movie?
Movie.
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 Black and white or color?
Color.
Cake or burger?
Burger.
Speed or slow motion?
Slow motion 1,000,000 times.
Fall or spring collections?
Fall, spring, fall.
Hat or scarf?
Scarf.
East side or west side?
East.
Why?
East and normal, baby.
Wondering why.
Motor or bike?
Motor.
Glossy or matte?
Matte.
Leather or lace?
Leather or?
Lace.
Leather.
Casting or fitting?
Casting.
Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Was it hard?
I like it. I'm like, give me more.
More? So we'll think some more. I'll send you.
I like it.
I'll send you, so you email me back with your answers. It's going to be very useful. So, Nico, I want to thank you for letting us being in this dream place. We use this studio sometimes for our guests. I want to mention that we link everything down below, but I want to say in person, they don't see me when I say thank you, Nico.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to Lily one more time for
She's
everything.
the one that does everything. Yeah.
I mean, thank you, Nico. I met you before I met Lily, but thank you, Lily, for everything. I mean, she makes it happen.
Yeah, it was a really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to meet you and get to know you.
Likewise.
So thank you one more time for
You're
everything, for your time, for sharing the studio with us, for doing whatever you are doing, and
Yeah, anytime. Loved it.
Thank you.
yeah, we'll
Good
take you to
conversations.
Serbia.
Yes, I want to go back. It's been a minute.
And Siberia.
I went
And
to
Siberia.
I was going to go to Siberia to do a motorcycle trip over a frozen lake in a
By
Euro,
car.
which is a Russian motorcycle. And it was so dangerous they stopped doing that trip because you had to get a satellite phone and it was so cold. You had to get special clothing. But if you got clothing that was for colder temperature, then you would start sweating and then the sweat would kill you. And if you get temperature that it was a mind trip. And then my mom died, so we canceled the trip. But I was going to go to Siberia.
We'll take him.
We'll take you one day.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe.
Ding ding.